So, folks, who remembers George Floyd? Oh boy, what a outstanding citizen. What was on his rap sheet? I mean, I'm sure it's a laundry list of stuff, and I'm not trying to relive the past here, but ultimately, him having a fentanyl overdose caused the destruction of a lot of cities. Can you imagine somebody overdosing on drugs? Sure, it's sad. Addiction's a real thing out there, and people would pretty much rather jump off a cliff nowadays than go get their problems figured out. But can you imagine an entire city rioting and like burning it down, having peaceful protests, remember? Over a guy who just had a drug overdose. And I know everyone out there who's on George Floyd's side is going to be like, oh no, like Derek Chauvin, he had his knee on his neck. I think the question has to be asked, do you think he would have even had to do that if the guy wasn't resisting? If he wasn't hopped up on drugs? If he wasn't a complete idiot? Probably not. Anyways, there have been a lot of calls for Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. And to be honest with you, if we're going based off of logic and facts and exactly what happened, the fact that they went and addressed George Floyd, he resisted arrest and got put on the ground and continued to resist to where the guy had to put his fucking knee on his neck because George was a big guy. And then he had a fentanyl overdose. And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it, well, oh no, it was adrenaline. You can call it, well, the fentanyl caused him to have too much adrenaline. He had a heart attack, whatever. But ultimately, fentanyl caused it. So I want to encourage everybody who's watching, because I know a lot of people are going to see this who are on George Floyd's side, and the comment section on this is going to be wild. But I want to encourage everyone, if you can, if the other side who's on George Floyd's side, if you can, if you can't, then all good. But if you can, remove the color from the situation. If the guy was white, I'm going to do the same. If George Floyd was white and Derek Chauvin was black, and it was figured out that George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose, and he was white and the cop was black, I would be like, pardon him. It's not the cop's fault. Fuck the color. But unfortunately nowadays, all most people see is color. Oh, it's not the guy's fault. Fuck it. Do fentanyl. If you resist arrest and have a knee on your neck, it's not your fault. It's the other guy's fault because he's fucking white. I've talked about this a couple of times in the past couple of videos because I don't know how many times I can say this, but isn't America fucking tired of the race bullshit? The race baiting. The, oh, well, because I am this color, I can do no wrong and I'm a victim. Or because you're white, you're the problem with everything that's going on in America. Because you've got white privilege and 50 other things that none of us have really ever seen. So guys, Joe Rogan has been known for a couple of things. One of those is being in super good shape, being an MMA guy, and being in pretty good health for the age of 56. I don't know if y'all remember, but he had COVID-19 and he bounced back in like 2 or 3 days. And one of the supplements that he used, if you remember, was NMN. Now, rather than try to explain it to you, here he is talking about it.
I also take supplements. And in fact, most of my colleagues are in the field of aging, or anti-aging as people call it. So I take NMN every morning.
What is NMN?
Good question. So let me take a quick step back.
Sure.
So about 20 years ago, Lenny Guarente and a team of us at MIT discovered a set of genes that controls aging. And what they do is they protect all organisms on the planet, plants, bacteria, humans, from deterioration and disease. They're like the Pentagon. They sense when we're hungry, sense when we're exercising, and they send out the troops to defend us. And so we think that these genes are responsible for the effects of dieting and exercise, which is great. What that means is we can now mimic that with molecules.
I feel like I should make a shopping list.
Now, I also take these supplements. They've been extremely beneficial for a couple of things. One's anti-aging, helping to reduce blood pressure, age-related weight gain. It's essentially an all-natural anti-aging pill. Now, I know a lot of you guys have tried it. We're giving everybody an awesome deal here. I asked them to give you guys this. Here it is. They're giving you guys 40% off for the next 48 hours only. You heard me right, 48 hours. There's going to be a link and code below the video. Go grab some. Truly, truly amazing stuff.
Concerns tonight about new civil unrest over the murder of George Floyd. This month marks 5 years since his death sparked protests and riots here locally and around the world. and the city, county, and state are preparing for new potential protests. Jay Coles is here to explain why. Jay?
Yeah, Kevin, multiple sources tell me there are two things driving this. First, in recent weeks, we've seen calls from conservative commentators for President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. Second, sources tell me the city of Minneapolis is almost certain the Department of Justice next week will move to end its consent decree over the MPD because it's happened in other cities. So preparations are happening now, just days before the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder. This is what Minneapolis looked like after former MPD officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd.
Okay, let's just stop really quick. Really quick. I have researched this pretty thoroughly, and pretty much every single news company has said the exact same thing. Pardoning Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. Now, sure, if they're going off of the conviction, that's not wrong, but whatever happened to like looking at the actual facts? I don't know, to give everybody kind of an inside view of this, there have been cops who have passed out from simply smelling the fumes of fentanyl. And some of them to the point where they had to be administered Narcan to counteract it, or else they would have overdosed from simply smelling the fumes. Yet this guy had a bunch in his system, but no, Derek Chauvin in his knee.
And it's something state and city leaders do not want to see happen again. I spoke with 6 total sources today. They tell me Governor Tim Walz, the Minnesota National Guard, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Mayor Jacob Fry, and Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt have all been briefed on a potential Chauvin pardon and the possible end to the federal consent decree that called for extensive reform at MPD. And tonight, law enforcement is now preparing for possible civil unrest if those two things happen. Mayor Fry is not talking about those plans, but as Commissioner of Community Safety, Todd Barnett...
You notice their response to all this? Oh, they don't want it to happen again. Don't fucking let it happen again then. You let it happen the first time. Y'all let the riots happen. In fact, Tim Walz is on record supporting half of it. Oh, we don't want to see this happen again. What do you not want to see? You don't want to see the money lost from it, but at the same time, you got to keep up your woke agenda. If you had the National Guard in there, none of this would have happened because none of it was peaceful. If you have people destroying a business, right? I'm sure there are a lot of business owners out there. If someone comes to your place of business and is lighting it on fire, throwing Molotov cocktails through your windows, bashing in your windows with axes, are you not pulling out a gun and shooting everybody to save your business? Sure, some people are going to be like, oh no, they're just destroying property. That's not worth taking their life over. Well, it's also not worth them to destroy businesses. But here we are. So if Trump pardoned him, and I imagine there would be a legitimate reason why, right? Because presidents can pardon whoever for whatever reason. But on a high-profile case like this, it's got to be something that's valid. And the autopsy report and everything involved with this case points to George Floyd died from his own issue. So look, for everybody who thinks I'm some bootlicker, you couldn't be further from the truth. The only time I like police is if they follow the Constitution and not their superior's order to go fuck with people's Constitution. Otherwise, every single other police officer and law enforcement officer can fuck off. I'm talking about logic. I'm talking about what legitimately happened and what caused all of the bullshit to unfold because this guy simply overdosed on fentanyl and several other things.